to say good morning or good night. It's 3:01 a.m. I went to bed at 10 or 10:30. I think last night wasn't that early, and which is rare, but I got up a little too early. 3D, right? We're looking at, well, first of all, we're looking at my images, real images of the surface, and the three-dimensional program that I'm showing these days, since yesterday, it's just giving some elevation and height on the surface, thus really changing the way that we can look at these images. Remember this fabulous setup of lines in the Apennine Mountain that I've been showing you guys and gals, trying to clarify it. Well, we're going to look at it clarified. I want you guys to get the same idea, the same view as what I'm seeing on the surface here. And these lines and this shape here that you see there in the Apennine Mountain is one of many dark shadows, let's call it, that have some symmetrical lines. So look at all the connections, and this is where I'm fascinated at these lines that are connected on the surface, massive lines at that, and they're all over the place, but they're very high up into the mountain. So these lines almost make sense when you think of it. Maybe they're lines to get down from the Apennine Mountains. Maybe this was some type of setup there that humans had built for whatever the reason. Humans would have gone to the moon. Have humans ever gone to the moon? Are we from the moon? And we're here on the Earth? Maybe we had to leave the moon during a cataclysmic event. Or maybe we're going to have to leave Earth during a cataclysmic event. We'll probably never know. But it comes down to that scenario, I guess, each time. I'm really fascinated by these lines on the bottom and this way of presenting it to you. I hope you appreciate it, because we're going to be able to see some pretty cool shapes and forms on the surface. So you're looking at a straight up image of the moon. This, you see it in gray, and you can still see all these lines on an original image. But the green helps your eyes definitely differentiate the surface with the objects, and gives you a sign, a big sign, a good sign actually, of some of the elevation that is there on the surface. So check this out. Like I said, every time there's those angles that you can see on the surface, either hiding things or it could be a structure itself. But these lines, the way they're set up on the bottom there, reminds me of a whole bunch of things. First of all, it reminds me of a train station, right? Grand Central Station. I mean, look at, So let's flip it upside down. This is viewing it upside down. Now look at on top now. Always like seeing them both ways when I'm looking at an image. Any way I can, I'll look at it four ways and turn the image around. Sometimes our eyes pick up better on things when they're seen, well, first of all, upright, right? But some of these big shadows on the surface, you wonder, why are there big shadows like that if there's nothing seems to be elevated, or it doesn't seem to match the surrounding objects most often? And I can see the squares and triangles popping out of these areas along with all these incredible lines, and especially seen up sideways like that. I hope you appreciate it. It's one of my favorite views of it. I mean, there's only so much we can do to an image, but we're doing it. We'll be able to see a lot clearer. And these beautiful structures inside the craters, there's no 3D here, just a regular straight up shot, and you can see inside the craters these massive lines built and stuff. So we're probably talking about thousands of structures up there. And, thousands of structures could mean thousands of people, or maybe even billions, depending on how long they've been there. Again, like yesterday, the original image, and now looking at it with the mesh. Now, let me tell you something. Look at this area. That is Copernicus crater. What do you think of that setup right there? Those lines going to and from them. And then you have these long lines, and along the long lines connected to those long lines, you have hundreds and hundreds of other lines and square objects in whatever shape. So you wonder. So looking off to the edge of the moon along the Terminator line, we can see here in an amazing image that I have here, This is the one on my desk where I'm working. I've always had that image there. And I've always been fascinated by these large objects. And yeah, let me tell you something. They're structures, right? They have the same reflectivity as the surface. I don't know why it is not other people are picking up on those. This is a very clear image, actually. You can see the rocks and all the objects along the edge, the outer limits of the moon. Thanks for watching, everyone. Here, yeah, tunnels, 2 of them. Can you detect them in this image? Straight up. One coming out of the center, going into what seems like a hole in the ground, and the other one veering off to the right there. And I love looking at these images of clear shots on the surface where we can see these massive objects standing and rising high off the surface. What the heck is that tunnel-like object veering into the inside of the moon? You can see it right there in the center. Can you see it well enough, those 2 lines? It's straight up on the surface of the moon. Here, well, by taking it down with inversion, see how it doesn't change the image to manipulate it, but sometimes it gives us a better view of it. They're changing back. You can really see the lines. It's a bit obvious right down the center there. Here's another one along, of course, Copernicus crater, where we are literally looking at shapes and forms. And in particularly are those bloody lines that are running across the surface that I'm capturing everywhere, finding everywhere. They really are fascinating me. Can you see the objects in this image where I'm talking to you about objects and lines and different here? And like here, this large object rising off the surface into a whole soup of other lines. And look here, 2 pipes or tunnels right there with a black line in the center. And again, that energy source where you see a black spot beside a white light. Where have I showed you a black spot beside a white light? Yep, the UFOs. Maybe that's a UFO right there on the surface that we're looking at a station, fueling up, maybe picking up people. It's real. It's become a reality, a bit more than just an illusion or a theory or a possibility. When you're looking at this image and you're just seeing that there are large objects up there, even if we don't know what these objects are, we're no idiots, and we have enough of a mind to know that these objects really do look constructed. We're showing you different angles of this object, these objects. You know, I have a Goodyear company in Valleyfield here, not far from me. It looks just like a company with the lines, and you know, you have these cylinder-like objects with these shafts connected to them that, you know, it's a setup. You could see it. Overhead views of companies. I've been looking at that for years, and this, you know, there's just, look around. You don't see anything else around very clear except for this object that you could see is over top of, you know, all the other objects. It's higher off of the surface. But I'm not kidding you. There's a line. Look at that. You could tell me all you want that you don't see that line, that you think it's natural, that's going to those large objects veering around. Even a light source over top that is billowing, actually. I've showed that like hundreds of times. No, but a few times. And you see the fire billowing. There's a fire, a light source, right there beside all these jumbled up objects and Copernicus craters to the left. Now we're going to look at it, a side view. The same thing, that line. We're turning the image around, and look how everything's connected, right? All my life I've been looking at moon videos, you know, trying to look at surface structures, and you know, there's a trend. The way people work in astronomy on the astronomy channels, listen, it's pretty similar, okay? I'm not dissing any astronomy channel. You understand what I'm saying is that the way I'm presenting the work is unique. It's different. And I'm doing my own thing. I'm trying to get in, you know, the same way anyone else would get in, making 3D maps like NASA does, like anyone would present a surface through illustrations or not, no manipulation. But see, the thing is, these aren't illustrations. They're real images of the moon. And it didn't go through a program. And you're just looking at an image turning here right now. This isn't, oh, Bruce, look at his 3D programs making the buildings come out. No, there's no elevation here on this one there. You can't say any manipulation was done. I'm turning the image. And that's, for some reason, what people don't like is me turning the image. See how our eyes pick up on the different colors? And sometimes we see them better green, sometimes we see them better purple. Those are the colors that are most comfortable to the human eye. Something else that I studied, right? To try to, how can I say it? To do it simply and basically, because the magnification is strong and that's it. Crawlface, Benoit Paquette, Christy Lindsay, everyone, thank you for the ongoing support. Fires burning California, 2 million acres. What the heck's going on? We have
Fire,